Ciao jewelry makers, I'm Joey Balistreri. Welcome back to our mini series of videos on jewelry tools and supplies for complete beginners. So in our last video we talked about some of the stringing material, wires, jump rings, and crimp tubes that you will need, but also in jewelry making, you need ear wires and closures for necklaces and bracelets. So I have taken out a selection of those things just to show you. These are the most readily available, very basic, very common ear wires that can easily be found everywhere. This is an ear wire with a small bead and a decorative coil at the base. And then this is another type. This ear wire is actually made out of a ball head pin. So I have already shown you head pins, but this is the same thing when it's straightened out, but instead of a flat head, it has a little ball on the end, and they can be converted into ear wires. They look really pretty when you connect your design to them. And then this is another type. This is an ear wire with a little hinge on the back. And so that part goes through the ear and it just snaps. If I can get a hold of it, it just snaps closed like that. And so from the front, this one has a decorative, like a shell design on it. And then this is another hinged design that you actually string whatever you've created here and let it rest down into that little groove, little open loop there at the bottom, and then it has that little hinge that snaps closed. So the other thing you will need is a closure for necklaces and bracelets. So one thing that can be used is a toggle. So a toggle comes with an open end and then a bar end. They come in different themes. This one happens to be a little flower with a matching leaf bar that goes through the opening. And you'll see as you start shopping for these, I have one where this is a long stem rose and this is a vine. The circle is hammered or textured in some way, and then the bar is done to match. So it's a very pretty way to close necklaces and bracelets, and you can use it on both. And then also very common and readily available are lobster claw clasps. So they come in different sizes. This is a quite small one and a large one. And some of them, when you buy them, will come with its own matching closure, a little thing that looks almost like a keyhole with a small and a large end. But if it did not come with that, you can very easily create that with jump rings, and you can use different sizes of jump rings depending on your design and the size of your lobster claw. You just want it to be compatible and cohesive, not a giant jump ring with a tiny little lobster claw or vice versa. And also when you open your lobster claw to connect it to this, you want it to be fairly easy. So if this is too tiny, your necklace or bracelet will be difficult to take on and off. So you want to think about that. So with that said, we're going to use our pliers that we talked about, our bent chain nose pliers and our chain nose pliers. And as I said in our very first video in this series, you will often see jewelry people working with one in each hand. And that will become second nature to you because you'll see that when you have a jump ring that you need to open, you want to get a hold of it with one plier on one side where that split is, and then on the other side of the split with your other plier. Now you never pull a jump ring apart, you never pull it that way, because you will distort the round shape and it will almost be impossible to ever get it back. So to open a jump ring, you simply twist front to back like that and your jump ring is open. And then you can connect it to anything. So we'll go ahead and connect it to this pretty toggle clasp. And now you do the exact same thing to close it. You get a hold of one side with the other plier and just twist it closed and make those two ends of that circle meet. If you can take a second, if they don't, to tidy it up, but when you touch that with your finger, you don't want to feel anything that's misaligned. You want a perfect circle with no space in between, and then whatever you have connected in your jewelry design will not come disconnected while wearing it. So the other thing you can do with your ear wires is use your pliers to gently open and close them. So like on this type, you would do the same thing, just bend it gently to one side, connect whatever your design is, and then close it back up. So you do want to be careful opening and closing things, because if you do it too many times, you will weaken your metal and it runs the risk of breaking. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to open all of these just to give you an idea. So on this one, you will see we are able to open this just the same way that we did with the jump ring, where we grab that loop with our pliers and just bend it up. Then you could connect whatever it was. This is silly, but I'll connect the other end of the toggle bar just so you can see. And then we'll close that loop back. And on this particular design, I had to hold the small bead and the coil with my other finger, because once you open this loop, it all wants to go down. But it does look really pretty when it's closed. It gives a little design element on this particular type of an ear wire. So then on this type of an ear wire, it's almost not noticeable, but there is a little split in that ring, and you are able to open it to connect it. Now on this type, you do have that ability, but these do run the risk of breaking very easily. It's quite rigid and it's very small. So when I am designing with this type of an ear wire, I will try to connect my piece that I've designed without opening this, but just to show you that if you need to open it, and I'm going to switch to my chain nose pliers, you can, these are interchangeable pliers. The bent chain nose and the chain nose are really interchangeable for this type of thing. So I'm going to try to show you that little split right there, and you just want to be very gentle if you need to open it, and not open it any further than you really need to. So can you see what I did? And then you connect whatever you needed to connect. And again, you have to be really careful doing that on this type of a wire, because you can twist it open and break that loop completely, and then the ear wire is no good. And then the last type is this other type of hinged ear wire that does not have a loop that you can open. So you have to use this little spring hinge, open it, and then slide on whatever you have created, and it rests in there. Now this type is really fun ear wire if you want to make something that's interchangeable, especially if you're selling your jewelry, or even if it's something for yourself where you want to just keep one ear wire and make several different options. These are easy to slide things on and off of this type of ear wire. There are many other types as well, but these are common, readily available, and a very good place to start. So I wanted to show you those. So in our next video, we're going to move to our round nose pliers and make a couple of loops with those. So I hope you're enjoying this mini series. Share it with anyone you know who's thinking about getting started, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, jewelry makers.